Hello folks, this is Juggalo V here. Obviously today we're going to be talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now this isn't really going to be a review in a sense, it's going to be an first impressions. So that's going to be fun. Now with this being my first impressions, this is going to be something that's not completely entangled with looking at someone else's reviews and viewpoints. Maybe when going through some of the other stuff, I can gain some insight to how to appropriately critique and review a film. With this first impression video, it's more of my own personal take on it. So one of the things that disappointed me in The Last Jedi is it has Marvel dialogue in it. It has these Marvel tropes in it where there's an emotional scene going on. You're taking in what's at stake of the situation, and it's building up, and then a joke, a fucking one-liner comes in and just knocks everything down. That is what really upsets me, because this isn't really a Star Wars film. It's a Marvel film. Well, I guess we can call it a Disney film now. You know, who cares about getting emotionally attached to a dialogue, to a scene, to a moment, just to serve up a joke? And sometimes this film just really seems like it is a joke. Now, another point in time where this film really does feel like a joke, there's a really big moment, a big scene that happens within the 20 to 30 minute mark. And I can't say what character, what exactly happens in the scene, because it dives deep into spoiler territory. And that's not what this video is about. This is not what this video is going to contain. When you see it, you hopefully, some folks who have already seen it know what the hell I'm talking about, and I'm hoping that they're on my side to acknowledge the ridiculousness, how absurd and how goofy that scene and moment really was. Like, I just feel, I don't know if that was something that was planned ahead or something that changed during production as it led up, but I think, I just don't know. It was definitely something that did not make sense and was the biggest chip on my shoulder, and that's not really a good thing to have when we're 20 to 30 minutes in and we still have a long run to go through, and yet this is the biggest chip on the shoulder that you want to give me. Like, obviously it's not a personal attack. It just feels very odd, a very odd choice to have to do. What really more can I say? There, not much, at least for now. I cannot say a damn thing for now. So real quick, I'm going to dive into actually some of the positive things about this film. Yeah, trust me, there's some good things in the film. So one of the things that The Last Jedi has going good for itself is the message. Some of the messages that they try to push out, they're actually pretty good. A little force-fed, but by all means, you know, I may or may not be the demographic that they're aiming towards, but you know, god damn it, I'm in that age range, in the medium. I'm right in the middle. So, come on, man. So one of the good messages that The Last Jedi conveys is that there's a side scene where they go to this rich planet, and You know, they're discussing about, these asshole, private military, these rich assholes, how dare they live a life of luxury while the rest of us are fighting in the war, day in, day out. We see our friends die. So after going through a series of events in this rich island, they come to find out that the rich assholes who are selling weapons to the bad guys, they find out that they're also selling weapons to the good guys. And so it's like, oh, holy shit, no way. Then the military industrial complex fucking sells to both the good and the bad guys who are constantly fighting? Who would have fucking guessed? Another good message that The Last Jedi tries to convey is that we don't need to have huge casualties of war, or the ends doesn't justify the means, because there are plenty of times where they just see the number of casualties, like, look how many people died just to do this one thing. Is it even, well, actually they don't discuss is it even worth it. They just discuss about if they should fight or flee based on the percentage of how many bodies are going to fall. So it's a nice, cute little message, but it kind of gets watered down very, very close to the end. There are some characters that are bickering and arguing and just have totally different ideologies, and they somehow turn and flip on a dime and forgive them and just kind of move on to the ultimate cause. It's very weird. I just thought it was weird that both characters who have a strong stance on their ideas would just both sweep it under the rug and just move on, continue the cause, continue the fight. So now we're going back to some of the elements that just really disappointed me with The Last Jedi. Now, they said, and they hyped this up, and even though I get caught up in the hype, I still, feel very good afterwards. Like any hype that I receive, I tend to come out with the same conclusion, with the same energy, just because I'm just so either forgiving or have a greater sense of suspense and disbelief, but essentially the hype for this film was that it was going to be the darkest one of them all, of the three, and that it might even be better than Empire Strikes Back, so obviously expectations were high, and just, okay, you want to show me the brutal side of this universe again, go ahead. Like, it's fantastic. After bringing me up with Force Awakens, go ahead and bring me down with The Last Jedi, so that way I can be hopeful in the third act and just love the series even more, love the franchise. Nothing really happens in this film, and that's very unfortunate, because it just seems like a deadlock, and when something feels like a deadlock, it just feels like a filler episode, and that's not what Star Wars is. Star Wars is not a filler episode. It's not a continuing series. Why am I feeling this way? Well, I mean, I know why, but I can't say anything now, for God's sakes. Like, there's shit in here that you can't really say without spoiling it, because some of the good shit that happens, you'll just end up spoiling it, because that's when the good shit happens. And when the really extreme, obnoxious, absurd bullshit happens, that's when you're like, fuck, I can't say anything, because it was just so fucking bad, and it was part of the most critical moment of the film. It's ridiculous. There's no real ideology progression, and that's what the film essentially promoted itself. It promoted itself that there was going to be some real ideas that were going to bloom, that there was going to be some character change, that there was going to be some really, I don't want to necessarily say the fucking word dark again, but just uh, brooding, foreboding. There you go. That's the word I want to use. This film is supposed to be a glance of how bad the galaxy can be, how much it can really just be a shit show, how terrible, how bleak the universe can be if we let these bad guys win. And guess what? It did not do that. None whatsoever. And one of the things that was going on, that I had this other chip in my shoulder that's not as bad as the one that I said earlier, but this other one was still pretty fucking ridiculous. So one of the things that was happening in this film was nothing seemed epic or grand. We essentially just stayed in one location and then cut back to another location. We were all focused on one location. It didn't feel very fresh. I felt very underwhelmed about this film, and the battles in this were very, very underwhelming. The only battles that were great were very close proximity ones. Those were the only ones that were the best battles. The personal fights, those were the only ones that were good. And when you see this film, there's not really much to go off on. You know, the battles in this, it's ridiculous. Both sides have no reinforcements. There's no epic grand scale battle. It just seems like the two factions, the two warring parties, have just shrunk. It doesn't feel like an epic war. What it feels like is just minor gang war territory bullshit. That's what it feels like. So anyway, say it with me, folks. It's gangland in space. You know, what? Come on. Are you shitting me? This is supposed to be a galactic conquest of ideas trying to kick off from the oppressors. Like, what the fuck is this? No one... It's ridiculous on how much scale they try to put forth these factions when they don't have any backup, no real supplies. They're running out of shit. So that was my first impression of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and I hope when I come back in a week or so, definitely after the holidays, maybe even before New Year's, that I come back with a fresh pair of set eyes, a fresh pair of mind, to just scale back and look at it from a different perspective and see if there's something I missed, something insightful about this fucking catastrophe of a fucking film. I'm sorry. This was the one thing I was really looking forward to so long. And yeah, just please excuse my language, cause wow. I'm just sorry. Actually, Disney should be the ones that are sorry. They've shrunk. They've been shrieking. What the fuck? Say it with me now, forward. I'm so frustrated. I can't even fucking speak straight. God damn it. Yeah, that's gonna be in the cut.